Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon, my dearest friends. Today, I, Pavitra, Sanjay, Taufik, Bomesh, and Santira, we're all going to teach you about Gauss law and its applications. And I want you guys to be interactive in this, okay? So, why did Gauss do such a thing? Like, why did he bring this law? Does anybody have any idea?
To
Guys,
calculate electric
To
field.
find electric field of closed symmetric surfaces.
Hey, I told that.
yeah, you did. Okay, yeah, exactly. To find electric field. Then why is electric field important? Why are we spending our time learning about electric field? Tell me.
யோசிக்கிறோம் ரவிச்சந்திரன்.
Say it.
To find
Don't
force,
repeat. To find it?
force.
Yeah, you could also say that. Okay. So the universe in its essence, like that is atoms are held together with electric field. That is, we know electrostatic forces, right? So that is electric field. And also we have it also helps in producing electricity, which is all around us today. I mean, imagine lockdown would be a boring time without electricity, and hence electric field. And also there is Sanjay, it's the previous slide. The previous slide. Okay. And also there is one more important point about electric field. Can anybody guess? Like, you have studied about it, you just have to dig a little. It is used in something. Like, that is what we're studying about right now. Yeah.
The second point.
Illa. That's what I
Okay,
told
where is
you.
it?
Ah,
Okay. Other than the second point,
yes.
கெப்பாசிட்டர்ல ஏதாவது இருக்கோ?
No, we are studying this subject for it.
For it.
All should be interactive. Winston is only talking. What about others?
Electromagnets.
Yes, that's right. Electromagnetic waves. Yeah, these electromagnetic waves, they propagate using electric field and magnetic field. I mean, light is an electromagnetic wave, right? So if we didn't have electric field, then we won't have light. This universe wouldn't exist. That is how vital electric field is to us. And also, as engineers, electromagnetic waves is also used for communication, electronics, engineering, guys. So that is why Gauss made our lives easy with his law. So now let's get into the law. Gauss law states that the net flux of in a closed surface is directly proportional to the charge in that surface. So since Gauss law only works for closed surfaces, like I said in the beginning, electric flux is easier to help you find electric field. Okay, what is electric flux?
Electric field per unit area.
Yes, that's right. So electric flux is used to find the electric field in an area. And we see there are three formulas here, right? Like, flux is equal to closed integral E dot dA is equal to Q by epsilon naught. If the region is uniform, that is, it has uniform charge distribution, then you can directly use flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught. But that's not life, okay? Life is rocky and rough and non-uniform. So you use integral for discontinuous charge distributions. That's it. So with this knowledge, let's see the applications of Gauss law.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be telling
Good
about the first.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Winston. Today I'll be telling about the first application that is related to the Gauss law, that is finding an electric field line on an infinitely long charged wire. So, before getting into the application, we have to first know a few terms. So, I'll just go through the terms and then we'll enter into the application. So, first thing is about Gauss law. So, Pavitra might have said about Gauss law, so you will have a better idea about it. So, I'll just say the statement of the Gauss law and proceed to the other term. The Gauss law states that the total flux through a closed surface is 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the closed surface. So the second term is electric flux. Even that also Pavitra has explained you. So I'll just go with the formula which has been used for it. So to find the electric flux, we multiply the electric field and electric field and that particular area. If it is in vector form, we find the dot product, and if there's an angle made between that particular area and the electric field, then we take angle in terms of cos theta. And the third is about the direction of electric field lines. Uh, you need to know just the direction of positively charged particle and negatively charged particle. The direction of positively charged particle is radially outward, and direction of negatively charged particle is radially inward. And next is about the Gaussian surface. The Gaussian surface is an hypothetical closed surface. Hypothetical in the sense, I mean that it's an imaginary closed surface, which is a three-dimensional one. And using this surface, we can calculate the total electric flux, and also a charge is enclosed in it. So these are the terms that are related to the first applications. So now let's see how to derive the formula to calculate the electric field lines. So first, what you have to do is we have to consider a a long charge wire which has a uniform linear charge density, means a charge per unit length on that particular point. Okay, and then we have to consider a Gaussian surface which is cylindrical in shape as shown in the figure, encloses this wire. Okay, and then first step what you have to do is we have to find the electric flux through this Gaussian surface. So we are finding the closed integral we are finding the total integral of this closed surface, and then we are dividing it into three parts and then adding them all. So the three parts we are dividing is, first one is the S1, that is the curved surface, and S2 is the top portion, and S3 is the bottom portion. And this is in the vector form. So for making convenient for the calculation purpose, we are taking in the terms of cos theta, so that we'll get angles and it will be easier for us in the calculation. So now focus on the image. As you can see in S3, first we'll divide it into parts. First I'm taking a S3 part, okay, the curved surface. As you all know, the area vector usually points usually projects outward in such a way that it is normal to the surface. Normal to the surface means the angle between the normal and the surface is 90 degree. And after that, we also know that the positively charged particle usually projects electric field line towards the radially outward direction. So these 2 points toward radially outward direction, and you can see in the figure that this electric field line and the area vector doesn't make any angle. So we can consider that angle between the electric field line and the area vector is 0. So we can consider, so the first S1, the curved surface angle can be considered as 0. And whereas if you see at the S2 and S3, the area vector points normal to the surface, that goes upward, and the electric field line which moves radially outward direction, that's in the right side. As per our in our image, you have considered in right side. So you can see the angle between the area vector and the electric field line makes 90 degree. So we are considering the angle for S2 and S3 as 90 degree. So as you all know that cos 0 is 1, and whereas in the remaining case cos 90 is 0. So we are neglecting both of them, S2 and S3, and so we have the EDS1. So we are considering electric field as a constant and roaming out of the integral, and we keep only the area of that particular surface inside the integral. So as we all know, the curved surface area of the cylinder is 2 pi RL. So substituting that, we get the electric flux of the Gaussian surface. And next thing which you have to do is that we have to find the linear charge density of that particular wire. So this linear charge density is enclosed in a Gaussian surface, and we know, and by, as I've said you earlier itself, that linear charge density is having a uniform charge density which is per unit centimeter. So when we write it in the form of formula, it will become lambda is equal to Q by L, and when we rearrange and bring Q at the one side, we get the formula required for our calculation is Q is equal to lambda by L. And there's one other condition thing you have to notice is that this charge is actually enclosed in a Gaussian surface. So here is where Gauss theorem come into the play. So what we are going to do is, now we are going to substitute the electric flux of the Gaussian surface in that Gauss law, and also the Q value which you have all taken out, which you have rearranged and brought it. So we are going to substitute that in the Gauss law, and we are going to bring the final formula for the electric field, which is E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r. So this is the formula for calculating the electric field on an infinitely long charged wire. And from this, we can bring another conclusion that the electric field intensity is inversely proportional to the radius of the, inversely proportional to the distance from the infinitely long charged wire. So this is all about the first application of Gauss law, and now the next application will be explained to you by Bhumish.
Sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Sigma by epsilon naught. In middle, nothing da. Outside. Outside, between the two plates, there will be zero electric field. Both sides, from the two sheets, there will be electric field which will add up. No, they'll not add up. No, yeah, they'll not add up. Right? What? Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, da. Yeah, da, yeah, da, yeah, da. Sanjay!
Am I audible?
Yada, yada.
Yeah. Hello guys, this is Sanjay. So far you have learned what a Gauss law is, and you have also learned two applications of the Gauss law. Now, of all the concepts that you have learned till now, we'll use few concepts here and do one more application which is more interesting. And the application is nothing but, here we'll find the electric field due to a spherical shell. Spherical shell in the sense hollow sphere that doesn't have any mass inside of it. So to move on to our application, first we'll have to consider a spherical shell. Let us say the radius of the spherical shell that we considered is capital R. And let us consider the charge is distributed only on the surface of the spherical shell, which means let us say it's a positive charge. It has a surface charge density of sigma. And we know that surface charge density is nothing but charge per unit surface, which means sigma is equal to Q by surface area of that hollow sphere. And we know that surface area of a hollow sphere is 4 pi r square, which means sigma is equal to Q by 4 pi r square. And we'll use this formula to derive few formulas in our later discussion. So now you'll get a question that at what point we are going to evaluate this electric field. For example, if we consider a case of hollow sphere, we'll get two particular points where we can evaluate this. For example, if you take a point inside of a spherical shell, it would be different from taking a point outside of a spherical shell. So now here we'll discuss both these conditions and we'll get the equations for electric field. So first we'll discuss about electric field outside of a spherical shell. To get the electric field outside of a spherical shell, let us consider a point P, which is a distance of small r from the center of the hollow sphere that we have taken. And the next thing that we have to do in Gauss law is that we have to consider a Gaussian surface. Basically, we'll consider Gaussian surfaces which are most easy to solve and which has proper area that we can actually evaluate. In this case, if we take cylindrical area, it would be much more complex because the electric field directions will be varying for every point, and every point will be of different distance from the center of this sphere if we consider a cylindrical Gaussian surface. Because if we consider a cylindrical surface, if you consider point O and if you consider the extreme point on the cylinder, it has a different distance. So that instead, to avoid that confusion, here we'll take a sphere as a Gaussian surface so that every single point on the sphere experiences same electric field due to that hollow sphere, and every single point is at the same distance. So we'll consider a Gaussian surface as a sphere. And according to the Gauss law definition that you have learned before, we know that electric flux, which is by a closed surface, is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed in it. Here the closed surface is nothing but the Gaussian surface. So if we consider that Gaussian surface, we have total of Q charge inside it due to that hollow sphere. So the formula stays like electric flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught itself. So now we have another formula for electric flux, which is EA cos theta. So every single point, for example, if we take an area vector for a small surface on the Gaussian surface, it will be of same direction of the electric field as Taufik has explained before, the positive charge. For example, if we take any charge inside a hollow sphere, it will be radially outward, which area vector is 0 degrees here. So we get simplified formula as E into A. Here A is 4 pi r square. So we get electric flux is equal to E into 4 pi r square. And we got another equation that electric flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught from the definition. So both of these equations are same. So what we'll do, we'll equate these two equations and we'll get Q by epsilon naught is equal to E into 4 pi r square. We have already known that Q is charge, and we have another expression for a charge which is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square. So we'll substitute Q is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square, and we'll get the expression for electric field like sigma into capital R square by epsilon naught into small r square. Here small r is the distance of a point from the center of the hollow sphere that we considered. So now let us consider a point inside of the spherical shell. You might get a doubt why the point inside a spherical shell will experience different electric field. Why can't we just simply substitute, for example, if R is 2 centimeter, we'll substitute small r here too and we'll get the equation. But the condition of Gauss law is different, because as per the Gauss law, the condition is that a charge must be present inside the Gaussian surface. So if we consider a point inside of a spherical shell, which means that Gaussian surface, the Gaussian surface for that particular point will be inside the hollow sphere, which is again a sphere. So now in that case, there is no charge inside the new Gaussian surface. The charge is outside of the hollow sphere, which means the total net charge inside this Gaussian surface is 0. So that as per the definition, if you substitute Q is equal to 0, we'll get electric flux is equal to 0 by epsilon naught, which is 0. And we have another formula I said before, E into area, which is E into 4 pi r square, which means that E into 4 pi r square is 0, which again gives us electric field is 0. So that for any point inside the Gaussian surface, for any point inside the hollow sphere, the electric field is 0. These are the two cases of the application. And now I'll hand over it to Sanjida, where we'll learn about some limitations.
Hello everyone. Up to now we have learned about the Gauss law and the applications of Gauss law in long charged wire plane sheet and thin spherical sheet. Now we are going to learn about the limitations of Gauss law. First of all, we know that Gauss law is formulated as flux is equals to E into A, that is equals to Q by epsilon naught, but it can be only applied to some cases, and the limitations are, first of all, the Gauss law is only applied for the shapes which are symmetrical in shape and has symmetrical electric field, that is, the angle between the electric field and perpendicular area vector is constant. We can also apply it for unsymmetrical shapes or surfaces, but the integration is a bit difficult, so it is not advised. We can see the diagrams below as for symmetrical and unsymmetrical objects. Next slide. And yes, Gauss law can be only defined for the shapes which have electric field around it, and it does not tell anything about the magnetic field, current and waves. And it is only applied for closed surfaces, where, as you can know, for unclosed surfaces the area is infinite, and according to the Gauss law, flux is equals to E into A, where area is infinite, so the Gauss law cannot be applied there. And you can see charge around a charge, a Gaussian surface is formed, so that the formula can be applied, whereas for the unclosed objects it cannot be formed, so the formula cannot be applied. And for electrical dipole moments, there are equal number of positive and negative charges. So according to the formula, it is q by epsilon naught. So plus q by epsilon naught and minus q by epsilon naught, they will cancel each other and gives us the flux as 0. So the Gauss law cannot be applied there too. And yes, finally, thank you.
You're
That's it.
welcome. Awesome, da.
No one is having any doubt. Okay, nice presentation by all the 5 of you. So somebody is asking doubt. Nice presentation. So next time, if I tell for presentation, these 5 should not present. Others should present. Okay. So many are keeping quiet. This many people are there. Okay, Sanjay, send that PPT to my mail.
Okay, ma'am.
Pavitra, anyone do that? Send the PPT to my mail. Okay, that's all. Tomorrow we can see the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.